We are the independent marketing organization bringing this to you today. And for those of you who don't know us, we got some new people here joining us today. We were founded back in 1975, so we've actually got our 40th anniversary coming up here in June. Excited to say, and we represent about 60 carriers. Primary lines of business are life, annuities, and long-term care, though we can help with DI and MedSup as well. Been family-owned since '81. A little bit about me. I'm basically on the retirement and wealth strategies team, so I focus on annuities, income annuities, immediates, delayed, indexed, fixed rate, charitable gift annuities, etc. So anything you need in that area, I'd be happy to help you. And my expertise is typically on case design. We're usually running market-wide surveys on a case-by-case basis to make sure the advisor is getting the best possible product for the client. But today we've got AIG with us. You may have seen a little bit of news out there about the QLAC and wondering what the heck that means. Well, we're going to tell you in detail what it is here today. AIG is actually the first carrier with a fully compliant product that you could actually sell for a QLAC. And we actually did a launch webinar back in November announcing that. But AIG is very dedicated to educating professionals. That's why we teamed up with them today and wanted to allow you all to see this concept and kind of how the inner workings function on it. Charles Samuels is going to be presenting this for us today, also known as the Professor. He holds 7 professional designations, 1 for every kid that he has as well. And he's a CLU, a FLMI, AFSI, AAPA, et cetera, working on his CHFC and RICP right now. But without further ado, I will let Charles take the reins here so we can jump into the meat of the presentation. Once again, thank you all for joining us, and here we go.
Casey, thank you so much for that introduction. And for all you guys out there that are thinking, this guy looks too happy to have 7 children, some people feel that way, but I enjoy having them, man. They made me to the man that I am today. And I spent a lot of time doing a lot of research on the insurance industry. In the last 10 years, I've taken over 32 courses so that I could get the knowledge that I needed to help my family. And as a result, I can take that same information and help you guys. So today, our focus is going to be on talking about the QLAC. What is a QLAC? It's a qualified longevity annuity contract. A lot of individuals, they hear QLAC and they think, wow, this QLAC is something brand new. It is brand new, but the DIA is the core product that the QLAC is attached to. And that's an important thing. So to really understand where the QLAC fits, we have to first understand where the DIA product fits. And when I say DIA, that's the delayed income annuity contract. And here's the important thing. Now, fixed income annuities are an increasingly popular option for pre-retirees and for those individuals interested in generating predictable income without the inherent market risk that we see today. A lot of people are very familiar with 2008. And if you had a 401k in 2008, many people say that 401k became a 201k or a 201 a half because of what happened in the marketplace. So when I talk about the QLAC and the need for the QLAC, I always go back. I go back to the Great Depression and what happened then. There was a lot of volatility in the marketplace. As a result, a lot of your older clients today, they still want products that have guarantees. So if you're dealing with a 70-year-old client, he's looking for bonds. He's looking for those fixed instruments that give him guarantees because he was around when the stock market went down. He was around for all those different things. Now, these individuals, these individuals gave birth to the baby boomers. Now, the baby boomers were a little different than their parents. They were more aggressive. They were going after market share. They were going after accumulation. As a result, the stock market took off again. And other products that provided accumulation, those products that catered to that marketplace benefited. Now, the real question is, and most of you guys are very familiar with this, Where are the baby boomers today? For the next 17 years, there will be about 10,000 individuals turning 65 every day. What are these individuals looking for? They've already accumulated all this money, and now they're entering one of the most fragile stages of their life, retirement. They're looking for income insurance. How can they get this income insurance? There are 4 ways of getting income insurance. The first way is with the delayed income annuity. The second is with a single premium income annuity. The third is with the index annuity with the guaranteed living withdrawal benefit. This is another increasingly popular option because this option gives you a lifetime income, but it also will give your client the liquidity that they're looking for. And many clients say they love that. Then you have the variable annuity with the guaranteed living withdrawal benefit. A little more risk there because of that variable annuity, the investment risk will lie with the client. With the index annuity, they have the power of zero that's available there. Now, when we look at this, the 4 options that your client has for income insurance, there's a sliding scale. The D is going to give your client the biggest payout pound for pound versus the other options. Main question is why? Well, the D is going to give you the biggest payout because you're giving up the most control. You're giving up access to that cash. You're giving up that liquidity in exchange for a higher payout. When you slide down that spectrum, you have more liquidity, but you have a lower income for life payout. Of all the options that we have here, there's only one option that has or that qualifies for the QLAC, the Qualified Longevity Annuity Contract, and that's going to be the DIA product. So today we're going to talk about the background, overview some of the conditions, talk about the QLAC versus the non-QLAC, highlight some case studies, review some prospecting tools, quoting resources, and talk about how to do business with AIG. And then we'll wrap up with some question and answers if I haven't answered all of your questions. So here's the history of QLAC and why it's needed. Now, policymakers were responding to retirees' concerns of outliving their retirement savings. Is that a valid point? Is that a true valid concern? Absolutely. We took a survey, and 61% of the Americans that we surveyed said they were more afraid of getting to a point in their retirement when they ran out of money more than death. So they would rather die than get to a point in their retirement where they don't have any money. Now, historically, required minimum distributions needed to begin by 70 and a half. Now, the Treasury and the IRS sought ways to provide income at an advanced age. Now, on July 2nd, 2014, the IRS and Treasury Department released the final QLAC regulations. Well, what impact did that have? Well, the IRAs had an impact on the RMDs. The D is issued as a traditional IRA can be classified as a QLAC and excluded from the RMD calculations. That's going to help reduce your client's taxable footprint. The DIAs purchased must be designated as a DIA or as a QLAC DIA at the time of purchase. And here's another very important piece. DIAs have been around for a while. Sometimes some companies will allow a person to purchase a qualified DIA over 70 and a half, but that doesn't make it a QLAC DIA. The QLAC language must be in the contract, or the contract must have an endorsement. The reason why we're able to be, one of the individuals that could say we're first to market is because we wrote a contract that had enough leeway that allowed us to add an endorsement to our contract for it to qualify for this endorsement. Now, this page, we have to spend a little more time on this page because we have to understand the conditions. The premium is limited to the lesser of 25% or $125,000 of the client's 1231 IRA balance. What does that mean? Now, there are two types of QLACs. You have the in-plan QLAC, and you also have the IRA QLAC. Our discussion today is going to focus on the IRA QLAC, and we're looking at the conditions and seeing if it qualifies. If your client has $100,000 as of 12/31 of 2014, and we apply this test of 25%, they can put $25,000 into an IRA QLAC. They can fund that using any of their other qualified money. So there's two parts of that test. Now let's say you have another client that has $1 million in IRA money as of 12/31 of 2014. Then 25% of that would be $250,000. But the cap, the current cap set forth by the IRS is $125,000. So that client, even though 25% of their IRA balance is $250,000, will only be able to put $125,000 into that IRA QLAC. Now, the income payments must begin by the first month following the 85th birthday. Now, with the traditional DIA, there are a variety of payout options, but they're narrowed down for the product with the QLAC endorsement. You could do single life. You could do joint life. You could do, single life only or joint life only. You can do life with cash refund. The installment options aren't available. The certain periods aren't available with this endorsement of the QLAC. The pre-commencement death benefit, how can you get money out of the contract? If a person passes away, you have no death benefit. Or if the person passes away, no money's paid out, and the money stays with the insurance company. Or you have the return of premium death benefit. You don't have the return of premium plus interest option that is available on our traditional QLAC, on our traditional DIA product. Then you have increasing options. All the increasing options that will be available on our core DIA product are available here. From a commuted cash value, the DIA, our DIA does not have a commuted cash value, and the IRS guidelines restrict DIAs that have commuted cash value to be placed with a QLAC endorsement. And most people say, well, how does the IRS know? How will they know that I have a QLAC? Well, the companies have to report all this information, all this activity to the IRS. Now we're going to just get to an example right before we get to the fun stuff. The fun stuff is not far off. But before we do that, we want to get into an example of, once again, how do we calculate this QLAC? And in step one, we have $1 million. Client has $1 million as of 12/31. Step two, what's 25% of that? $250,000. Does this client have any existing IRA QLACs? This person didn't, but if they did, that will reduce the amount that they can put into a QLAC this year. Then we look at, okay, well, what's the treasury limit? $125,000. Now, does this person have an in-plan QLAC? Right now, we don't see that there are any in-plan QLACs in the marketplace. We're currently working on one. The calculation is much more complex for the in-plan QLAC than it is for the traditional IRA QLAC. And then we'll factor that in. And after we factor all those factors, for this particular client, because they didn't have an in-plan QLAC, because they didn't have another IRA QLAC, and because they have, $1 million, this person can put $125,000 into an IRA QLAC. Now, the QLAC maximum premium worksheet will be made available as a courtesy only. These examples are for training purposes. Agents should not obtain or retain any QLAC calculations or worksheets, and the company will not accept any such calculations. Neither the company nor any of its agents or employees are allowed to provide legal or tax advice or calculate premium or maximum premium limits. The second illustration is one of the same, so it's the same information we talked about before, but now we're factoring in where they had an IRA QLAC, where they had an in-plan QLAC. We're not going to spend a lot of time here. We kind of highlight some information, some differences on this screen, so we're not going to spend too much time here, but if you look on the left-hand side of the screen, what you'll see is this is our core DIA product. The premium limits are different. We can go from $20,000 to $1 million. In some cases, we can go more than that. The issue ages are going to be different if it's qualified or non-qualified. You will see that there are more income payment options on the left-hand side. So apples to apples, most of the things are pretty much the same. The QLAC is going to restrict the issue ages for the qualified contract. And if it's a QLAC, it has to be qualified. And we talked about some of those other limitations there. One key benefit that I'd like to highlight is this. When your client purchases an IRA QLAC or a DIA QLAC, they have to pick their income start date. So if you look at the income start date adjustment, it's the third option from the bottom. I love this option because it allows your client to defer the first payment 5 years from the original income start date. It will also allow them to take the payment earlier, so they can take it out earlier, or they could defer the payment by 5 years. What does this mean for your client? A lot of people, they're like, you know what, I like the QLAC. I want to defer my taxes, but you're telling me I have to tell you when I want my first payment to start? For some people, it's hard for them to figure out what they want for breakfast the next day, and you're having to tell them that they want this lifetime income to start at this particular date. That's a hard thing. But if you tell them, Mr. Client, the max age is 85. That's the max age that you can max this thing out. Why not? I can show you what 85 would look like, but when we issue the contract, we're going to issue it at age 80. Because if things get worse, life happens, and you need to take it out at 75, we could do that. But if things are great for you, maybe you have other money that's under management, and because this QLAC, you did things differently. You were a little more aggressive, so you earned more money. Now you can defer that payment to 85, and you can max this thing out. Another option that won't be available is the advanced payment option. That's basically an option that says if your client wants to take out, a lump sum of 6 months of payments, they could do that if they're over 59.5 and they're getting monthly payments. That option won't be available with the QLAC. And then you have the payee choice. Who do you want the payee to be? Whoever you want that payee to be, that's okay with us. Our contracts are owner-driven, which means the owner will be the person that will be liable for the taxable consequences. Now we're going to get into the fun stuff. Now we're going to get into where the rubber meets the road. We're going to talk about my friend John. He's a male, 70 years old. As of 12/31 of the prior year, he had $500,000 in his IRA QLAC. He wants an inflated, adjusted $25,000 per year from his account. He's in good health, and he may live long. He's worried about outliving his assets, and he wants to ensure his retirement won't suffer from another downturn in the marketplace. Do people really have to fear or worry about living long? It's a great question. Well, based on the Social Security Data Administration, they said, and they've adjusted mortality tables as a result of it, they said and have proof that if you make it to 65, chances are you're going to spend 20 to 30 years in retirement. So if you make it to 65, chances are you're going to make it to 85. Chances are you're going to make it to 95. There are more people that are living to 100 than ever before in history. So let's look at what this would look like for this particular person. He has two options. He could say, I have $500,000. That should be enough for me to live on. And hopefully, I die before I use it all up. Or he could say, you know what, I think I may live long. I want to reposition, recharacterize some of this money so that I could take my exhaustible resource and transform it into an inexhaustible pool of money. And this is what you're looking at. On the left-hand side, you'll see at the bottom, there's a pinkish color. That represents what would happen if he just left his money in his IRA using these assumptions. The green represents what would happen if he just recharacterized a portion of his money. For $500,000, 25% of that is $125,000. That's under the $125,000 cap, so he could put $125,000 into an IRA QLAC. What would it mean for this client? Well, at about 91, 92, if he just left his money in an exhaustible state that was exposed to the market and the risk in the market, then it's possible that he would get to a point where he would run out of money. But if he just recharacterized a portion of that money, you see the green column, it continues to rise. He continues to have that increase, and then once all of the money that he had in his IRA is gone, it's exhausted, he's able to fall back on an inexhaustible stream of income that's coming from the company. That's the power. That's the true power of having a QLAC. You allow people to know, and it removes that fear of, what if I outlive my assets? What if I get to a point where I don't have any money? But for the guys that, you know, I get the big picture, but I want to see the numbers behind what drove this illustration. I'm going to show that to you guys right now. Here are the hard numbers behind that. On the left-hand side, it will represent the pinkish area. And the green column represents this client taking increasing amounts of money from an exhaustible resource, their IRA account, to satisfy the assumptions of trying to take out $25,000 in increasing increments during his retirement. So at age 90, he gets to the point to where he's taken his last increase. And at age 91, he's going to be out of money. And if he's not dead, he may wish that he was, because now he doesn't have anything else. He doesn't have his health. He may or may not have family or friends. And even if he does, he doesn't want to be a burden on them. Now, on the right-hand side of the equation, we have increasing amounts of money coming out up until age 79. And then the QLAC kicks in at age 80. When the QLAC kicks in, now he has an inexhaustible stream of income that's going to come in and keep coming in as long as he can fog a mirror. So he can count on that $25,695 for the rest of his life. As a result, he can scale back the money that he's taking from his exhaustible retirement account. So he goes from taking, looks like $32,000 from his account to only take out enough to satisfy his required minimum distribution, which is the $9,494. And he's still getting the same amount of money that he would have gotten on the left-hand side. But the difference is, on the left-hand side, where we ran out of money at 91, this guy on the right-hand side never runs out of money. Now, we said that based on the IRS, if a person lives to 65, chances are they're going to live to 85. Let's take a closer look at this. On the right-hand side, at age 80, when he turned this income on, he was getting $25,000. How much did he put into this contract? $125,000. How many payments would he have needed to take before he got all the money that he put into the contract out? 5 payments? So in 5 payments, he's gotten all the money that he put in out of the contract, and he's going to continue getting paid for as long as he's alive? Okay, the other question that we get is, that's good. So you're telling me my client's going to get lifetime income once he activates the contract. You're telling me this client could have taken income at 75 if he wanted to. Yes, it would have reduced his payout, but he could have taken it at 75. Great. You also tell me that he could have maxed this thing out and taken it at 85. What would that look like? What kind of impact would that have on my client? We're going to get into that next. But another obstacle is, what happens during that period of time between a deferral? What's the benefit to my client? Is there any increase, internal increase? There's no cash value, but your client is going to have a reduced taxable footprint. Because if you look at the top left, they're looking at RMDs, or paying RMDs, or taking out RMDs based on $500,000. So he would have to take out $18,000 to satisfy those RMDs. On the right-hand side, they're paying RMDs based on $375,000, because now that $125,000 is no longer added to that RMD calculation. But what if this guy says, you know what, Charles, I listened to you, I purchased IRA QLAC, this DIA QLAC, and now it'll be more aggressive with the money under management, and now I have more money than I need, and I don't want to. I want to let this thing ride. I don't want to have to pay taxes on this right now. Let's kick this ball 5 years down the road. So here we have the second case study. All the other information is exactly the same. So we're using the same age, we're using all the same assumptions, but just by kicking this ball down the road 5 years, we were able to just about double the amount of lifetime income that we can provide this client. Some guys think that's impossible. How can you do this? The main driving factor behind delayed income annuities, the main driving factor behind the payouts is not an interest rate, but it's mortality. The older a person is, the higher the payout is. So there are a few things working in this guy's advantage. He's living a long time. As a result, his payout goes from being about $25,000 to close to a little over $50,000. But what did that do for his retirement? So now, out the gate, the moment he turns on the income with this product, that in combination with what he had to take out from RMD, that's what that blue curve you see here, that's what he wanted. Out the gate, for the first 4 or 5, maybe 6 years, he's getting more than what he wanted. And then he still has increasing income all the way up to age 98 using the assumptions that we're using right now. And when his exhaustible retirement resources are depleted, they're gone, he could fall back on a $50,000 check every year. He doesn't have to worry about how am I going to take care of my long-term care needs. He doesn't have to worry about what happens when nobody else has any money and I don't have the help that I need and I need more assistance. What happens is Social Security is not here. Now he has an inexhaustible pool of money that he can refer to that can give him a peace of mind. And here are the stats that projected the numbers that you saw on the previous screen. So on the left-hand side, once again, everything there is pretty much the same. The thing that changed on this slide is the right-hand side. So now he's taking increasing amounts of money from his IRA to 84. And then at 85, now his QLAC kicks in. Now we're going to talk about some of the marketing tools that we have available for you guys. So we have a product snapshot. We have a question and answer for you. We just released a question and answer that you can share with your clients. We also have brochures, and we also have, hold on just one second, and we have a white paper. That white paper is client-friendly. It's not specific to our QLAC, but it's specific to QLAC, qualified longevity annuity contracts in general. And some clients find that to be very useful. Then we have our product playbook. This playbook is phenomenal. For example, we said that the delayed income annuity is not a new product. It's been around some time. And you may be thinking, well, why haven't I heard of it? How can I use it? In this playbook, there's another situation, another scenario that you could use. For example, you may have a guy that's 55 years old. He wants to retire. And you're saying, great, well, you want to retire. When do you want to retire? He says 65. And then you tell him, what if I could show you how to maximize your Social Security using the money that you already have just by repositioning some of that money, where you can retire at 65 and you can still max out your Social Security at 70 years old. What would you say about that? I'd love to hear that. Okay, well, let's take $100,000 from your current retirement savings. Let's put that in delayed income annuity. Let's make it a certain period to where it pays you starting at 65 so you can retire and delay activating your Social Security at 70 years old. Just by simply doing that, you can add up to almost 40% to that person's income, or a 40% increase in that person's Social Security just by getting them to help them delay that Social Security to age 70 years old, because most people take it out at 62. So those are the things you can find in that playbook. Then we have some of the quoting resources that we have here. Here's our phone number, 888-438-6933, option 2. The output from the illustration, this is what it looks like when you guys run the illustration, but you guys may not be running it because you guys have the support with Casey. But this is the output. I think that's an important thing. And we're going to wrap up in a few minutes. The output is important because most people, because this product doesn't have an internal interest rate that we provide, because this product doesn't have cash value, people try to find a way to quantify. How can I quantify it in a way that's easy for my client to understand the value of this contract? And we do that using the annual payout rate. And this is a grid showing what the annual payout rate is. And you still be thinking, okay, great, but what does that mean? What is the annual payout rate? I'm going to give you a perfect analogy. We talked about there are two payout options here, and there are two pre-commencement death benefit options. There's no death benefit, and there's return of premium. There's life only, and there's cash refund. The situation, the illustration that we ran in our case studies, those were based on life only. That was the best case scenario. What we see a lot of are the cash refund. So I want you to take a look at the person at 60 years old at the top of the grid, and we're going to go over to the right, the annual payout at age 80. The annual payout rate is 67.14%. That simply means if that client gave you $100,000 at 60 years old, you would give them 67.14% of that at age 85. That would be a payout of $67,000 every year that person is alive. Well, a person may say, you know what, that's a long time to wait, plus the risk of life only, that's too much for me. I don't want to do that. I want to make sure I get a cash refund. What's the cost for that? What's the cost of that cash refund? Well, let's look at the bottom grid. Person purchases this product at age 60, and they have the annual payout. They let it ride into 85, and they take it out at 85. The annual payout is 46%. So they'll be getting $46,000 every year for the rest of their life. What's the difference? $20,000. So when you look at a long horizon, the difference is going to be pretty high. But most of the cases that we've seen recently are people that are already taking out RMDs. So they're at least 70 years old, and they're deferring it for 10 years. So if we look at the case where at the top, life only, 70-year-old taking it out at age 80, the payout rate is about 20%. Now, we get the cash refund, 70-year-old, age 80, the payout rate is about 15%. The difference is about $5,000. Is it worth $5,000 to do a life only? Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. It depends on that client and what they're trying to accomplish in their retirement. Maybe they think that they're going to live a very long time, and they may roll the dice and say, you know what, I'm going to roll the dice, double down, give me life only. And that's definitely an option that's open to them.
And Charles, just one note on that point. Just so everybody remembers that if the person passes away before the income starts, if it's a QLAC, then it's a return of premium death benefit. So even if you select life only, no death benefit, after the income has begun, that's when there's no death benefit. If you die before the income starts, then there is a death benefit to your heir. So even if you want to get that higher payout, that is something to remember. Sorry, go ahead, Charles.
No problem. And then this is how to do business. If you're doing business with AIG, you have to do the product-specific training. You have to make sure that you complete the election form when you do the application. And here's just some additional information on the product playbook. We're going to go ahead and I'm going to turn it back over to Casey. If you guys have any questions, we'll be more than happy to answer your questions, and we'll go from there. Take it from there, guys.
All right. Thank you, Charles. I appreciate that. It was an excellent presentation, and thank you for taking the time with us today. Thank you, everyone who joined us. And if you need anything at all, we are here to support you. You can definitely visit our website to learn a little bit more about us if this is your first time hearing from us. That's my direct line right there, 214 number. and my direct email as well. If you would like to see an illustration, if you have a client in mind already, that's great. Just send me an email or give me a phone call, and I'll be happy to get that put together for you. We also can send you all of the sales materials that Charles mentioned here today and help you with getting contracted if you need your initial setup. Just FYI, if it's your first time contracting with us, we've got a one-time contracting packet. Once we've got that in-house for you, you can contract with any of our 60 carriers and no more forms to fill out. So it's very convenient, easy to use. Hopefully you have some clients in mind for these solutions. Please give us a call or send us an email. We look forward to speaking with you soon. And thanks again.